Good morning, my options junkies. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. Let me get a few invites sent out. There we go. And let's take a look at this pre-market move. It looks like across the board, the U.S. announced, I believe that they were going to buy back some bonds. Was the announcement? It drove. Let's just look at US 30 live feed up, Nasdaq up, ES&P minis which is the S&P 500 futures up, everything up. Gold shot up hard, silver up hard and still moving. Gold to silver ratio moving back a little bit. That means gold moved a little bit better than silver. Individual stocks moved up. The dollar, so an upward move in this chart means a weaker dollar. So the dollar is weaker against the euro. A downward move in this chart means a weaker dollar. So the dollar was weaker against the yen. And OddCAD, which I watch separately because it's kind of outside the dollar, but they tend to move together. OddCAD shot up. I don't do much with crypto, but I watch it. Bitcoin shot up with that news. Ethereum, everything's up with that news. XRP up with that news. Even XCN. Let's see, Tron, some of the trash coins not. Litecoin, no. Few cryptos shooting up with the news. But let's look at the market. We're not trading crypto. QQQ up with the news. All right, so that's what we got. A little bit of news drove the market up. And welcome in, Brent. Welcome in. Brent had a question yesterday that I missed. Here's the market open, and I'm sure we're going to see some movement. The first question was looking at AMD, and let's just look at this, say 45 or 58 days out. So first off, on the off weeks, so these are weeklies, this is going to be a monthly. In general, you will have a tighter spread on a monthly than you will on a weekly. And I was looking at a weekly, I think here, and then we were looking somewhere around the 9 or 10 delta. There's a $2.40 wide spread here. That means the market makers, and you can put an order in somewhere else, but the market makers are picking up $280 of profit there on the buy sell, or 240. So if I were to buy this today, or if say I were to sell this today at 440 and then try and buy it back, I would lose $240 immediately. So give me 1 second. I don't know why my wife is asking me questions via text message. Probably because she knows I'm doing this and doesn't want to come in here, but that's okay. So that's too wide. I could play with it and try and get the numbers better, but if I go out to the true October here and still run to that 10 delta, you'll notice that here that spread is 70 cents instead of $2.80. 70's better. What I would like to see is 10-cent wide. That's what I'd like to see. So let's look at QQQ for that October 16th. And what we'll see here when we go out to say the 16 or 10 delta, more liquidity, still heavily traded. And here we're seeing 8-cent wide, 8 to 10 cent wide. That's what I'd like to see, Brent, on a spread, not $2.40 wide. market makers make money. That's why they call them, market makers. They make the market for you and they make the spread. And I'm not mad at them for it. Everyone's got to make money or they wouldn't exist. I just don't want them to make too much money on me. So even if we got here to the 10 delta, it's a 5 cent wide spread. Super good right there. So, that I'm okay with. It's a little further out than I want to trade, so I'm not going to trade that, but we'll just wait. Let's take a look at positions that we have open here. I believe this one was the closest, was 715 with this up move. We're looking good on that. My trade yesterday, so yesterday I traded ZB, and we'll look at the activity. I sold the 103 and I set it to close halfway. So sold it for 15, bought it back for 8. That closed in one day as the market bounced up with this news. The question is, do I want to now take the other side of that trade over here? And I'm thinking about it, but I really think this one's close to closing. We're 37 days out. Let's not get greedy. Let's just let this market bounce up and burn off that. Brent's other question is, what theta am I comfortable with? I don't have a max theta that I'm comfortable with. I do try and target a 200 theta, which is basically making $200 a day. That's my target, but I don't necessarily have a max or a min. It just is what it is. My delta, which is a 0 delta, would be a market neutral strategy. And in general, right now I'm still positive on the market. I'm usually going to be a very positive delta. If I remember correctly, a 100 delta would basically be just investing in your S&P 500 if you just own shares in the S&P 500. And if you look at a position, let me look at, I don't know if I've got a SPY position. Let's do this. Let's trade shares on the SPY and let's see if it gives me a delta. I don't think it's going to give me a delta on that. But normally if you're just holding the shares, that's going to be 100 delta. So I'm usually, in this case, I'm over 2.5 times just holding the shares. And what that means is that as the market moves up, I'm going to make more money than if I were just holding the shares of the S&P 500, which is what that's based on. So it's more of a, not a theta issue, but a delta issue. I am currently still bullish on the market in general. I know not everyone feels that same way, and that's fine. It's just the way I am. So, and I think most traders are. It's kind of weird. People don't like to be negative. I'll be contrarian. I like to buy the dips and then make my money when it goes up, but I'm not necessarily negative on the market. And part of that is just understanding that every day, every month, every payday, money flows into these accounts and buys S&P 500 index funds, NASDAQ index funds, because that's the way they're structured. So my thought process is that overall, those markets go up because money goes in. As we see a trade and a change off in baby boomers being forced to pull money out of the market and new money coming in, we may see a flip of that in a few years, but I don't necessarily think so because that's where inflation is going to start picking up. But moving on, trades for the day. Let's just look through. Not going to touch that. That's moving the right direction. American Airlines seems to be dipping down a little bit today, but we've got plenty of time on that. Not going to worry about that. We'll roll that one out in a few days. Amazon also sold the covered call in the money. That's perfect for us. We're right at the money. In another 9 or 10 days, we will roll that out or allow it to close. Google with an L. Google dropping today a little bit. That's okay. We've got the covered call. And again, looking to roll that in a few days. QQQ. The only thing we have pressing on QQQ is this trade And I think with this up move is where I want to try and roll that out here and just get it out and down while the market's out of the money and it's the right time to do it. So what we're going to do is we're still 5 days out. The market pulled back and I'm going to take this advantage while it's up. 715, 675. I need to pick up 363 at a minimum. Let's go out 10 days, 9 days total, and let's look for a 710 maybe. And then we were 40, 25, 30, 40 wide, so 710, 670. So all we're doing is rolling it out another 5 days. So we're 4 days out, or we're 5 days out. We're rolling out 4 days. We're moving it down. I'm losing here. I'm going to click it while I'm there. See if we can get that in before we lose more money. All right, we got it in. So all we did was we rolled it down $5 from 715 to 710, out 9 days, and we pick up $100 in credit. And I'm just going to set this to close automatically at that $100 that we picked up. Because the point of that, or 99, the point of that wasn't necessarily to make money on the roll. We'll make money as it goes up. The point was to defend the position. So now we're $500 or $5 further down of the money as it bounces up, and we're going to collect our complete premium on the other trade that we made. And what's our next trade for the day? Our next trade for the day is 7 days out on QQQ. Running down here to, I'm going to do 700, 660. Volatility is still kind of low, but we're going to sell this spread here if it fills, and we're going to immediately set a closing order on that same spread for 90 cents. So now we've targeted 90 cents for today, or $90, and we're going to look at another trade. Let's take a look at SpaceX. Do we have anything to roll in SpaceX yet? I was kind of wanting this to get a little bit further out before I rolled it, or a little bit closer. So we'll look at maybe next week rolling this again. Let's just look at what that would look like today. I love the volatility in SpaceX, even though it's IV rank for some reason. I think that's got to be wrong. I don't know where they're getting the 5. I think that's a mathematical equation error because they haven't been around long enough. I could be wrong. But we would, and if we're looking at spreads again, which we talked about earlier with Brent, this is 30 cents wide. Of course, I'd like to see 10 cents, but I can do 30 or 25. So we would buy it for $6.25, roll it out 1 week at the 140 at the money, and we'd make $173. But I'm going to wait on that. We could roll it up and try and make a little extra, but I'm going to wait on that. I would like it to be a little bit, we're going to burn some of that theta off on that trade, and then we'll roll it out again when we get to about 2 days. So if we were at that trade today, we would have to buy it back. If it was a week earlier, based on today's numbers, we would buy it back at 380 and roll it out a week for $200. And that's kind of more what I'm looking at right there, is being 2 days out with this number and making the $200 instead of the 100. And I don't care if it got called away early, if something changed. I'm above my entry point on that, so we're good. See where we're at with Tesla. Looks like the market's pulling back a little bit more this morning from all that news. AMD's pulling down again. Let me look at still looking for an AMD trade here in this dip. All right, here's 7 days. Let's look. See, even the spread, I just don't love this spread on the 7-day AMD. Let's look at September 18th and see if that's a little bit better. That's 45 cents. It's not horrible. All right, here we go. Let's do sell the 400 AMD for 30 days out. And we'll go, let's see if where's the spreads in here. Buy back the 370. So we're going 30 wide, risking 3,000 for 30 days at the 12 delta, and the buying power on that's 27.25. So basically 3,000, but $272 divided by 3,000, 9% in 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks, and we're going to set that to close halfway. And I'm going to just creep this up just a wee bit and be a little bit, just pick up some of that spread and see if I can pick up 280 on that. They're not horrible, 20 cent wide. And just play with that just a little bit. See if I can make an extra $5 or $10 on that. Take it straight to the mid-range here. Give that one a second to close. While we're doing that, we'll look to see if there's anything else that needs to be managed. I think there was not. Oh, there we go. Closed at 265, so we're going to set that to close. And let's see, we made 90, so 200 minus 90, trying to make 110 for the day, 265 minus 110, 155. So if I close it at 155, I've set my number for the day. Let's give a little bit of extra in there. Let's set this to close at 130. So a little bit of extra buffer in there, a few extra dollars. Set that to close for 130. And that's my trades for the day. If you did notice, the volatility, the theta will really change on volatility. My delta went up because all of those are trades where if the market goes up, I make money. If I trade the other side of it, which I'm not prone to doing, it would bring my delta down. But I'm not interested in doing that right this minute. And you'll notice my theta went up by about 30 for the day. As trades come off, that will drop down. That's all I have for, well, let's just take a look at where we're at for the month in the last. So we're down a little bit today, even though this says up. For the last month, we started in, this just 30 days, basically. It's not August, but we dropped a little bit down with the market down and recovered quite nicely as the volatility collapsed. And looking pretty decent for the month. If you say, even at August 1st, we started at 94,000. We're at 105 to 106,000 now. Well above my target, but I am making a little bit extra money trying to catch up from my bad beginning of the year. So that's what I've got for you. If you've got any questions, do me a favor, throw them in the chat. That's all I've got. Good, the bad, the ugly of trading with my options. And I'll be back tomorrow. All right, I'm out. If you like what you see, do me a favor, click the like, click the subscribe. I am showing you what I do. It is a learning, this is for learning purposes. I am not a financial advisor. So if you have questions, I'll try and answer them. But you can always talk to your financial advisor too. Have a good day.